Give us a ring on this. Give us a call on this. Have a poll up both in the chat and on Twitter about what the Bills should do with the 30th pick. There's now going to be some TJ Watt speculation because he posted a picture of himself giving the peace sign. I don't know if that's related to Pat McAfee's show in Pittsburgh last night because there was one of those big events where he has everybody on stage. TJ Watt was not there, right? I did not see TJ Watt there.
I didn't see any reference to him even with that.
Anyway, so TJ Watt, first round, 30th pick, trade it for TJ Watt, trade it for Trey Hendrickson, or just draft a player. What's the best use of that? What's the best use of that 30th pick? Trade it for TJ Watt, trade it for Trey Hendrickson, attempt to, if these teams would accept these trades, or just draft a player. So you can vote on that and let us know what you think. I mean, I guess I could have put trade down in there. I'm seeing some trade down energy, which someone explained to me like I'm 5 how trading down makes sense for the Bills.
Well, of course, what you're going to want to do is you're going to take the position that you want, and you're going to trade down to let the Chiefs draft the same position first, and then you'll draft it after. That's what.
How many jobs do they have available? The Bills. How many jobs do they have available? 3.
They have a starting corner available. They have a rotational defensive tackle spot available.
Okay.
At the one technique, right, specifically.
Yep.
They have another outside receiver rotational spot available.
Okay. I feel like you're at like 2.5 jobs. What else? Kicker?
They have, this is the tough thing. They have a defensive end spot probably for like 6 weeks at least because of suspension. But is it available after that? Like, if Michael Hoyt wasn't suspended, then you might say there isn't one, but there's going to have to be somebody that plays early in the year.
A safety spot? We'll say there's a safety spot available.
I don't think that's. I mean, a guy could come in, certainly be drafted there, and come in over top of everybody. But if they walk into the season with this safety room, they're fine, aren't they? They have Bishop and I'm not saying they're great, but they have the guys. They have Bishop and Rapp, and then they have Hamlin and Forrest, two guys who have started in the league as your backups.
All right. Let's keep going. Is there an offensive line job available? No.
Nowhere.
Is there a running back job available? Probably no.
Not unless Cook's gone.
No quarterback. No tight end?
Third tight end,
Quentin Morris if he comes back, right? Because they let Quentin Morris go and they could bring him back.
He's visited with other teams.
Sure.
So.
How many jobs? 4?
Yeah, there's not many.
How many picks do they have?
10?
10?
I think it's 10 or 11.
Trade down for more? Well, what? I guess we're going the scratch-off routine. I want to draft 13 players and decide in 3 months which ones are the good ones.
That's always my hiccup or hold up with that mentality is that the idea that you can figure out when you have that many picks and when every year this happens. I mean, the Bills almost every year say goodbye to multiple of their draft picks because they don't have room on the roster for them. So guys in the 6th and 7th round, like, Daquan Hardy, I mean, he made the practice squad. Nick Broker, Alex Austin, Luke Tenuta. These are all draft picks of the Bills that didn't make it out of camp. Why? Because you have too many guys, and I just don't believe that anyone can realistically know what a guy's going to be, not just when they draft him, after a month of practice.
Yeah.
No game action whatsoever, not a season. You got to make a determination of who the best guys are through training camp. Training camp can lie to you. Khalil Shakir had a bad training camp 2 years ago, and then he was great by the end of the season.
Right. Tyrell Shavers had a great training camp and then saw the field once?
Yeah, he did score in it.
But. He did. Josh Allen lost the job to Nathan Peterman at training camp.
There you go. I mean, it should have been Exhibit A.
Just right. Whether it lies to you or it's not the right timeline or whatever it might be, the Bills are in a win-now window, of course. They just went through an offseason where they got rid of all their captains and turned it over and brought in a bunch of players. They signed a good number of players in free agency. They added, 3 defensive players that are going to play a lot or a considerable amount in Hoyt and Ogunjobi and Bosa.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Trade down for more picks. I don't see the more picks thing being a good idea. Well, I saw Dan Fates had he was talking with Field Yates, and he asked him what the ideal scenario is. Dan Fates of Buffalo Plus, the YouTube Buffalo Plus with Jenna and Mike Catalana. And Field's answer was trade down to get some spots in the third round. That's the sweet spot of the draft. And, all right, if you want to draft 5 third-rounders and call it a day, I could listen to that, but I don't know.
Why do I need it? Why do I need it?
Yeah. I don't think there are that many jobs. And for them to come out of this draft class with 12 players, I would say get 6 of them on your mind right now to say goodbye, and they're going to the practice squad. And the Bills, listen, they value depth, as they should, and they've been a good organization, I think, with player development and depth. But I am not really here to listen to filling out the bottom of the roster. Don't we all think the thing that they most likely need is one more piece that's at the top? Whether that's T.J. Watt or Trey Hendrickson, or if that's Michael Hoyt's the chess piece that can help their defense, or if it's the corner number 2 to go with Benford. We're thinking about the top of the roster and stacking one guy on the top to push everybody else down. At least I am.
Yeah.
More so than I'm thinking of 6 guys at the bottom.
Yeah. No, me too. I was listening to Steve Palazzolo and Sam Monson on their podcast yesterday, and they were going through needs of every team in the league. They get to the Bills, what's the first thing they say? Pretty good roster. The strength is the depth of it. Right? It's the depth of it. It's not the top of it. It's that they have professional, reliable players, 2-3 deep even sometimes, at almost every position. That's not the need. It's the need is the star-level player at the top. So to answer the original question, to me, the idea would be, if I can get my hands on, spend assets on getting T.J. Watt or a Trey Hendrickson. That wasn't one of the jobs we listed, was starting defensive end. They don't need it. If they walk into the season with Joey Bosa and Greg Rousseau and everybody else behind them, they're completely fine. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get star players on this roster. And by doing that, you will be pushing others down, maybe into better depth roles. So my answer would be, if it costs $30 to go get a star-level pass rusher, and I'm back to 2, right? I'm back to 2 maybes. At the beginning of the offseason, there were 2 maybes. It was Garrett and it was Max Crosby, and neither of those guys left. They both re-upped. And then it was down to 0, great ideas, when Hendrickson was reportedly going to figure out a deal with Cincinnati. That hasn't happened. Now I feel like I'm right back to where we started. Yeah. Other than, I don't think either guy is as sure a thing as Garrett was for the long term. Garrett was, you're going to get him, and it's going to be great for 5 years. And these two, I don't know how long it'll be great for. I feel pretty confident, though, it would be great this year, right? They've been awesome last year. Hendrickson leading the league in sacks, and Watt having a down year, which for a down year for him was second in the league in pass rush grade, and he had 11.5 sacks. To me, you're not getting a player of that caliber for this season anywhere in the draft unless you get extremely lucky. So I don't know why it would be any different for me the beginning of the offseason to now, other than you're just not getting a guy that's probably as good or as expensive, by the way, as Myles Garrett would have been.
T.J. Watt was the 30th pick, right? In 2017?
He was a late first.
Yeah.
So
the coincidence here is, would you trade the 30th pick? The Steelers would use him up for 7 years, get 104 sacks, an incredible player, and then get the 30th pick right back for him, if in fact they want to trade him. Again, right. The Watt thing is speculation. The Hendrickson part is the Bengals have said they want a first plus. I'll listen to that. What's the plus got to be? First and a fourth? I would do that. First and a... I can't go higher than that. I want to go first and second. I probably might even consider. You could talk me into a lot. You could talk me into a lot. Hendrickson is one of the elite pass rushers, top 10. Mm-hmm. He's very, very good. I'm not even convinced defensive end is their biggest need, but
right.
Whether it's corner, defensive tackle, wide receiver, they have a couple of needs, but not many. I also had a good comment. Somebody wrote in on Twitter and asked this question. All right, so how many jobs are available next year? And the answer to that is also not that many. They just extended a bunch of guys.
Right.
How many jobs are available next year? Is the line changing over. I mean, you might start to look at Deion Dawkins and think, where's my next left tackle coming from in a couple seasons?
Yeah.
Spencer Brown's extended. Osiris Torrance is young. You might need to do something with expiring contracts on the interior with Connor McGovern and David Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
But Milano?
Running back.
I've got a full bevy of draft picks next year, too.
Right.
There's just not really, to me, it doesn't seem smart. It feels like diminishing returns if I'm out there thinking, well, I got to make sure I fill jobs that are available next year with draft picks I'm stowing on the practice squad. This team needs elite players. They need to find their way to more elite players. What are we do it all the time. The Chiefs and Bills. What's the biggest difference between them? You might want to say it's Andy Reid. You might want to say it's XYZ. They have had 3 players in the top 10 for the last however many years. And more past that. And what do the Bills have? On the top 100 last year, it was Allen and Dawkins. And that's it. You need a few more bodies on that list. What do the Eagles have in terms of top 100 players?
Oh, my goodness.
A.J. Brown, 3 defensive players.
Barkley
Hurts is
now.
probably going to make it. Barkley. Just
Jalen Carter.
I need to find my way to names at the top. And I won't dispute one of the avenues to get those is a lot of lottery tickets. I just don't love your chances of, oh, yeah, in the 6th round, when we traded down and got an extra pick with this 6th rounder, we took a guy that ends up being, T.J. Watt or whoever, or Diggs, like a Diggs caliber player comes in the 5th round. I know that those are out there. That doesn't seem like a really bankable plan going in.
But this is where they kind of are acting from a position of strength. That, okay, even if they make the trade that you just mentioned, a 1st and a 4th for Trey Hendrickson, they do that. Well, it's not like you wouldn't still have lottery tickets. The Dolphins, I'm looking right now, 2 years ago, they make all those trades. They get Bradley Chubb, and of course they had acquired Tyreek Hill before that, and Jalen Ramsey. The Dolphins had back-to-back drafts where they only had 4 picks total.
Right, 4.
4 in each of 2 drafts. If the Bills make the trade you're talking about, they still are going to have 8 picks, right? They're still going to have all these lottery tickets. Not 10. I should get the number exact. Is it 10 or is it 11? Whatever it is. But they're going to have a good amount of picks still on day 3. I know a lot of, but you still have 2 seconds. And if you're worried about filling in, I think one counterpoint you could make, we calls on this, maybe they're waiting to say it, that you could make about this trade is, well, what I'm spending my most premium asset left on a position that's no longer my biggest need. And I think right now the number one need seems to be corner. But if you play out the scenario of they make a trade like that and then say, okay, so what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to address this corner need in round 2. And we've got 2 selections to be able to do it wherever we want. I'm not. Are we that worried about the idea of a 2nd-round rookie starting right away for the Bills at corner when Dane Jackson is kind of your in case of emergency if he's not ready to go? Like how different is that really from 1st round? It is different, but that's a position where the Bills have proved over the years they almost plug anybody in there and get at least pretty good results. Like my downside just doesn't seem to be that risky at that position in particular if that's the need that I'm passing on by making a trade like this.
Right. And if you were to spend 30, 56, and 62 on your 3 biggest needs, who knows if those players hit? I feel like everybody'd be happy. To a point. Hey, they traded the 1st-round pick in a deal for Hendrickson, and then with the 56th pick, they took a corner. Mm-hmm. How different is that than the 30th pick comes up and they take the edge rusher that's young,
right,
and then they use 56 or 62 on a corner? They have 10 picks in the first 206 of the draft. They don't have a 7th-rounder. They have 2 5ths, 3 6ths, 2 4ths, 2 seconds. 10 picks in the first 206.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well scratch off 3 of the guys, at least 3 of the guys, not making the team. We'll get some calls on this at 803-0550. By the way, they had a couple other names added, and this is something I'm going to want to get to, of course. The chart, or the tracking yesterday, the
top
number
30
one
visits?
the number one position they've brought in. We've told the story that Pittsburgh has used 8 of its 30 visits on running backs, which is hilarious. The Bills, the tracker right now, yesterday, The number one position going into yesterday was wide receiver with 5. Add another one. They're at 6.
Okay.
They've had 6 wide receivers in for visits, and that is number one of any position they've had in for top 30 visits. The one that you added to the list now is Jalen Royals of Utah State, wide receiver. So 6 speed receivers. That might be because they're going to use the second or maybe into the fourth, or who knows. Maybe they want to trade down out of the second to get a third because, and we'll have to give credence to the idea that Bean loves third-round picks.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, you have enough picks, and you don't have that many jobs. I feel like the idea of a Hendrickson trade or a Watt trade, the Metcalf idea when that was out there, the Myles Garrett idea when that was out there, all these, to me, seemed like good ideas. I view them as a team that can both, Joe, get the idea of a finishing piece and still get depth. Like you said, it's not Miami where they have 4 picks.
Right.
We'll get some calls in, 803-0550. We'll go to Dennis in Williamsville. First up is Dennis. Hey, Dennis, good morning.
Hey, guys. So a couple things here. I first would just have to recognize the fact that Bean has really struggled in the first round, especially in the back end of the first round. So to stay there and just say that and assume that things are going to go well, I think is just knowing the guy and his history. I think that's a little troubling. It doesn't mean it's going to go bad, but I just don't necessarily love the chances. So that's one. The second thing is I did a little bit of an exercise using the draft chart and a mock draft simulator thing and kind of moving around, and I was able to move back out of the first round. So I don't want to explain this like you're 5 years old, Jeremy. I remember you saying that. Not like that, but I like this idea, moving out of 30 and moving back about 5 spots is where I moved back to, and picked up a third rounder, but also had to give up a 6th rounder for that. Fine.
So a double pick slide, which is what they just did in the Worthy trade, a double pick slide.
Right, and then I was able to also trade all the 4th round and 5th round picks and move up and I ended up with 6 picks in the top 100 and 1 6th rounder left over. And that, to me, now you're coming out of the draft with 7 picks. Even though you move back, you're not gaining more picks. You're using all of your ammo to move up everything into the top 100 that you possibly can, right, and get as many top-level guys as you can get. That I love that.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. There's even – and listen, there's a lot of different ways to do this. There's even – and this might be going to an extreme, Joe, a law of diminishing returns. If you had 10 second-round picks, how many could make the team? How many make the – like we just kind of laid out.
You have all of them.
You have 3 months to decide which are the best ones. And, oh, by the way, if 10 of them make the team, then you're cutting other players. And maybe you like that idea, but now you're unseating A.J. Epinesa, or you're unseating Curtis Samuel, or not to say that anybody is totally protected, but, they've made their commitments to some players. I just don't think they need that many players, that many spots. And the pick slides, if we look at the process of the Worthy trade, forget about what Worthy is, forget about Coleman. They did it to move up to take a third rounder, and they get Dwayne Carter in that deal. When they make the trade, they don't know what they're going to get. It's just we think the third will be better than the fourth, and we'll drop 5 spots to do it. That might be decent process. I don't think there's really that big of a problem with it. I just don't think it's that materially different than just picking the guy that you want. And could you have had Coleman and then you don't get Dwayne Carter? Right, that's true. Who would you have taken instead? That guy might have been active in the AFC Championship game. The guy that you take instead a round later. So there's almost like this. I get it. The draft is fun. We love talking about it. But you're saying we know no one here is better than anybody else. And the draft Knicks like to celebrate that. It's good to know that you don't know that. But we also do know that picking 63rd is going to be better than picking 75th.
Right.
How can you know that if you don't know the...
Yes, and that's where that argument to me is always a little inconsistent. I always take it a different way than that, is that team like trade down no matter what is, well, you do it because you don't know, but yet you're trading down because you think you know who the guy in the 6th round is going to be better than the undrafted guy that I bring in. And how different is that?
Yeah.
Is that really that different? Because how many guys get drafted in the 6th or 7th round that wouldn't have even been drafted by another team in the first place? Like that to me, the draft doesn't end there. Like you add, Sal says it every all the time. You bring 90 players to camp. They're going to sign a bunch of undrafted guys, and a lot of undrafted guys throughout their careers have turned into something too. I don't need to force more day 3 picks when I already have too many, because if that's the worry, is I just want as many lottery tickets as possible, go sign 7 undrafted guys. Those are lottery tickets.
803-0550. It's a good conversation. I like this chat. We'll get some more phone calls in. If you're on hold, stick with us. 803-0550 on trading down or trading that 30th pick for a proven player.